In the small coastal town of Cebu, where the smell of saltwater mixes with the scent of fried fish, a young girl named Laura spent her mornings singing to the sea. Her voice floated above the crashing waves, light and pure, like a whisper from heaven. She lived with her widowed mother and two little brothers in a small bamboo house near the shoreline, where the roof leaked when it rained, and the floorboards creaked with every step. Life was hard, but Laura never complained. Her mother, Maria, sold dried fish at the local market, waking before dawn to earn enough for rice and school fees. "One day, I'll sing on a big stage, Mama," Laura would say with hopeful eyes. Her mother would smile gently and answer, "Dreams are free, my child, but chasing them takes courage." Every evening, the village children gathered around her, clapping and laughing as Laura sang. Some called her the Angel of Cebu, and others just closed their eyes to listen. Even the fishermen, tired from the sea, stopped to hear her voice. Music was her escape from hunger, her comfort when her stomach growled and the nights turned cold. On weekends, she borrowed a karaoke machine from a neighbor and sang old ballads and English songs she barely understood. The people would drop coins into a tin can beside her, which she carefully saved in a small jar under her bed. One day, she stumbled upon a video on her friend's phone. It was a Filipino contestant performing on America's Got Talent. Laura's eyes widened as the judges rose for a standing ovation. She watched Simon Cowell smile, and her heart beat faster. Something inside her said, "That could be me." From that moment, her dream had a name. She imagined herself standing on that huge stage, the lights shining on her face, her voice echoing across the world. But the dream felt impossible. She didn't even own proper shoes, let alone the money to fly to America. Still, she kept believing. Late at night, when everyone was asleep, she practiced in front of a broken mirror, using a plastic spoon as her microphone. She would whisper, "Good evening, judges, my name is Laura from the Philippines," and then sing her heart out. Sometimes, she imagined Simon telling her, "You were born for this." Those moments gave her hope. The sea breeze became her audience, and the stars above her became the spotlight she didn't yet have. Weeks turned into months, and Laura never stopped dreaming. Even when schoolmates teased her for being poor, she held her head high. "Someday you'll see," she told herself. Her mother often looked at her from the kitchen window, smiling quietly. She knew her daughter's voice was a gift, one that could lift her out of poverty if only the world could hear it. And one day, the world would. As time passed, Laura began singing at small events, birthdays, church services, and town fiestas. People recorded her on their phones and shared her songs online. The applause of her neighbors was enough fuel to keep her spirit alive. She didn't know it yet, but destiny was already listening. Months later, a miracle happened. While singing in the town plaza one humid afternoon, a tourist from America stopped to listen. He was mesmerized by her raw emotion, the way her voice seemed to rise from her soul. He recorded a short video and uploaded it to social media, captioning it, "The voice that touched my heart in Cebu." Within days, the video exploded. Millions watched, commented, and shared. People across the world fell in love with the barefoot girl from the Philippines. Comments flooded in, "She needs to be on AGT. Someone help this girl get to America." Soon, Laura's quiet life was turned upside down. Local reporters came to interview her, and sponsors reached out to offer help. One message stood out. A Filipino-American music producer wanted to sponsor her trip to Los Angeles for an America's Got Talent audition. Laura couldn't believe it. She ran home crying and shouted, "Mama, it's happening. I'm going to America." Her mother hugged her tightly, tears streaming down her face. The whole village celebrated that night with laughter, food, and fireworks. When the day finally came, Laura packed a small suitcase with her favorite dress, a photo of her family, and her mother's rosary. At the dock, her brothers waved goodbye, and her mother whispered, "Make them hear you, Anik." As the ship sailed away, Laura stared at the fading island, her heart pounding with both fear and excitement. On the flight to Los Angeles, she looked out the window and whispered to herself, "This is it. My dream is beginning." But when she landed, everything felt different: the language, the faces, the towering buildings. She felt small and scared, but when she saw the glowing sign that read America's Got Talent, her fears melted away. She clutched her chest and whispered, "I'm here, Mama. I'm really here." It was the start of something no one in her small Cebu village could have imagined, a journey that would change not only her life but the hearts of millions. The big day arrived faster than Laura could have ever imagined. She woke before sunrise in her small Los Angeles apartment, her heart pounding in her chest. Her sponsor handed her a bottle of water and said softly, "Remember, Laura, this is your moment." She nodded, her hands trembling as she held onto the small rosary her mother had given her. The car ride to the studio felt like a dream. Every billboard, every light, every noise outside the window reminded her she was far from the quiet shores of Cebu. When she finally stepped into the audition hall, her breath caught in her throat. The place was enormous, bright lights, cameras, and people everywhere. Some contestants wore expensive gowns, others had entire teams preparing them. Laura stood alone in her simple floral dress that her mother had sewn by hand. She could feel eyes on her, curious and skeptical. She was the quiet one, barefoot inside her old sandals, holding her dream in trembling hands. Backstage, she met singers with powerful voices, magicians, and dancers rehearsing in corners. She tried to stay calm, whispering a silent prayer. When her name was called, everything went quiet inside her. The stage doors opened, and the crowd came into view, a sea of faces and bright lights that nearly blinded her. She took a deep breath and walked to the center, where 4 famous judges sat. Simon Cowell looked up from his notes and studied her with his usual sharp gaze. "Hello," he said, "what's your name and where are you from?" Laura's voice shook slightly. "My name is Laura, I'm from the Philippines." The audience applauded softly. "And what are you going to do for us today?" Simon asked. She smiled nervously and answered, "I'm going to sing, for my family, and for my country." As the music started, "You Raise Me Up," the first few notes escaped her lips so softly that the audience leaned forward. Then her voice grew stronger, soaring through the theater like wind through a canyon. Every word carried emotion, pain, and hope. Simon's expression slowly changed, his usual stern face softened, and he whispered something to Sofia Vergara beside him. Laura sang like she was sending a message across the ocean, her voice trembling but beautiful. The audience grew silent, captivated. When she hit the final high note, the entire crowd stood up, clapping, cheering, and shouting her name. She covered her mouth, shocked by the reaction. Tears welled in her eyes. Simon stood slowly, clapping with a small smile that said everything. "Laura," he began, "you just reminded me why I love doing this show." She didn't know what to say. Her lips trembled, her hands shook. Then, something she had only seen in her dreams began to happen. Simon reached forward, looked at his fellow judges, and pressed the golden buzzer. Time seemed to freeze as golden confetti exploded above her, raining down in sparkling waves. The sound of the crowd was deafening. Laura fell to her knees, her face in her hands, crying uncontrollably. She had watched this moment happen to others on TV, but never imagined it would be her. Simon walked onto the stage, knelt beside her, and said, "You're not just a good singer. You're a true star." The cameras zoomed in on her tearful face, her shaking hands, the golden confetti glistening in her hair. Back home in Cebu, her mother was watching from a neighbor's small television. When she saw the confetti fall, she screamed and burst into tears, hugging her sons. The entire village gathered, clapping, crying, and cheering as if Laura had won the world. That night, the video of her performance spread across the internet, reaching millions of people in just hours. "The girl from Cebu who made Simon cry," one headline read. Strangers sent messages of love and support. Laura's life was changing before her eyes. In the days that followed, she was interviewed by talk shows, featured in newspapers, and praised by celebrities around the world. But amidst the fame, she stayed humble. When reporters asked what she wanted next, she said, "I just want to keep singing and make my mother proud." Simon Cowell, in an interview, called her performance one of the purest voices I've ever heard. For Laura, the stage lights, the applause, and the confetti were beautiful, but nothing compared to the thought of her mother smiling back home, whispering through her tears, "You did it, Anik." That night, alone in her hotel room, Laura stood by the window overlooking Los Angeles. The city lights glittered below her like the stars she once sang beneath in Cebu. She touched her rosary and whispered, "Thank you, God. Thank you for hearing me." Somewhere deep inside, she knew this was only the beginning of something far greater than her wildest dreams. Fame came to Laura faster than she could ever prepare for. Overnight, her name was everywhere, on television, on social media, on magazines that called her the angel from Cebu. People recognized her in the streets of Los Angeles and asked for photos. Her golden buzzer moment replayed millions of times across the world. Her once quiet life had turned into flashing cameras, rehearsals, and interviews. Still, beneath all the glitter, she remained the same humble girl who once sang to the ocean waves. When she wasn't performing, she video called her mother, showing her the city lights from her window and saying, "One day, Mama, I'll bring you here." Her mother smiled proudly but always reminded her, "Never forget where you came from, Anik." Those words kept Lara grounded. As the America's Got Talent finals approached, the pressure grew heavier. Producers expected perfection. Vocal coaches pushed her to hit every note flawlessly. Every day felt like a battle between fear and determination. She missed home, the smell of salt air, the sound of her brothers laughing, her mother's cooking. There were nights she cried silently, afraid she might not be good enough. During one rehearsal, she couldn't finish her song and broke down in tears. Simon Cowell, who had been quietly watching from the corner, walked over and said gently, "Lara, don't try to be perfect. Just sing for your heart, like you did the first time." His words brought her back to herself. She remembered the little girl in Cebu who sang barefoot under the stars, not to impress anyone but because she loved it. When the final night arrived, the arena was filled with energy. The lights dimmed, and the announcer called her name. As she stepped onto the stage, she felt her knees tremble, but she clutched her rosary and whispered, "For you, Mama." The music began, a million dreams. Her voice floated softly at first, then rose higher with every note, filled with emotion and sincerity. The audience was silent, completely caught by the purity of her voice. The camera panned to Simon, who looked visibly moved. When she reached the final chorus, her voice cracked slightly, not from weakness but from the weight of her emotions. And that imperfection made the performance unforgettable. When the song ended, the crowd erupted. People stood up, clapping, shouting her name. Simon wiped his eyes before speaking. "Lara," he said, "you didn't just sing that, you lived it. You're what this show is all about." The other judges agreed, calling her the pride of the Philippines. Though she didn't win first place that night, it didn't matter. The audience chanted her name long after the show ended. A week later, she signed her first record deal. Her debut song, "From Cebu to the Stars," became a viral hit, streaming across every platform. Fans from all over the world sent her messages of love and gratitude, saying her voice gave them hope. She had become more than a contestant, she had become an inspiration. Months later, after her whirlwind of success, Lara finally returned home to Cebu. The news of her arrival spread quickly, and by the time her boat reached the dock, hundreds of villagers had gathered to welcome her. They waved banners that read, "Welcome home, our angel." As soon as she stepped off the boat, her mother ran forward, tears streaming down her face. They embraced tightly, neither able to speak, both trembling with joy. Lara held her close and whispered, "We did it, Mama." Cameras captured the moment, and the image of their hug spread across social media, touching hearts everywhere. That night, the village held a celebration in her honor. Lights were strung across the trees, children danced, and Lara sang for them under the same sky where her dream had begun. Her voice was even stronger now, but still filled with the same innocence and sincerity. After the song, she announced her plan to build a small music school for poor children in Cebu. "I was given a gift," she said, "and I want to share it. No child should lose their dream because of poverty." Her mother watched proudly from the crowd, her eyes glistening with tears. Weeks later, Simon Cowell sent her a video message for the school's opening ceremony. "Lara," he said, "you proved that true talent knows no boundaries. You showed the world that real stars can shine from anywhere." The crowd applauded, and Lara smiled, humbled. As the night ended, she walked to the edge of the beach, the same place she had sung as a little girl. The waves whispered softly, and the stars above twinkled like old friends. She began to sing again, quietly, her voice carried by the wind over the sea. For the first time, she wasn't dreaming of the future, she was living it. She was home, her heart full, her voice eternal, and her story proof that even the poorest dreamer could one day touch the stars.